to come. The day you know we've taught instructions for marriage, it is binding. You can't do otherwise. You can't what? You can't do otherwise. Because the emergence of that revelation in your life begins the day for marriage with you, and you cannot do otherwise. Let's go back to our Corinthians. Jesus. No. If any man 13. Is it 13? Every man's. Okay, let's go back to 12. I want us to get to 15 this evening. He said, if any man build upon his foundation gold, silver, precious stubble, wood, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble. Now next verse 13. And the Bible says, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it. It is the day that will declare the work. This day is not, and I don't want to go into pastor's message, but this day is the day of Christ, not your day. Amplified, if possible, is the day of Christ. The day of Christ will reveal every work. The day of Christ, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire that shall try every man's work, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. If any person's work which he has built on foundation, that is any outcome. This is not 13. The work of each one will become plain, shown of what it is for the day of Christ. The day of Christ will disclose and declare it, because it will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test and critically appraise the character and the worth of the work each person has done. You see, now it's about the work. I quickly branch to the worker, so that you can see that Satan targets the worker. He brings about the trial of our faith. I mean, all kinds of trials to make you shift around, and in the end affect your work. Now go back to the King James Version. So we see in this verse 13, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day of the Lord shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. Hey, of what? 14. Pay attention. If any man's work shall remain, which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive reward. Wait, if any man's work shall remain, the fire will try it. Christ is that fire, is that standard. He will reveal. So we'll look at the things that you have said about prayer, we'll look at it with Christ. Are you all listening? We'll look at it, we'll compare it to Christ. If it does not align, it will burn. We look at a church, the activities of a church. There are about 12 things that must happen in a church. By theological research, 12 things that must happen in a church. If those things don't happen in a church, it may most likely be not the church of the Christ. So that means Christ is not the head of that church. By the time they place that church, they put it into fire. The fire will only, you see, Hebrews chapter 12 verse 28, verse 27, 28. He said, wherefore, having received a kingdom that cannot be shaken, the kingdom that cannot be shaken, therefore let us receive grace. Let us receive grace that we may serve God acceptably without fear, right? For our God is a consuming fire, right? The only thing that fire cannot consume is Christ, and everything that aligns with the doctrines of the Christ will stand. Every other things will be shaken, for our God is a consuming fire. So back to our scripture. So we see that if a man's work if a man was abide, which he had to build upon, then he will receive reward. So I'm here to tell you that it's not just about working. It's not just about working. will look at your work. The day you said something, what was your intention? God will vet the secret things in the heart of a man that is not open to the people that he's talking to. The reason why you told somebody to come and see you, perhaps because